All right, everybody, happy hump day. It is what, 7:12 right now. This is live being recorded, so you're seeing this on your Facebook or YouTube streams, but you might catch the recording later on. And live view right now, this is from our tower cam, and we don't have as many of them now, but not long ago we had, you could see a lot of sun rays where the sun was pouring through the clouds, little holes in the clouds. And the term for that, by the way, crepuscular rays, just it's a fancy pants term for sun rays, where the rays of the sun pass through the little holes in the clouds. But sometimes you get anti-crepuscular rays. Those are really rare. So anyway, sunshine's going to be a big player in the forecast moving ahead as the rain's shutting down. All right, so we've got that little bit of a chance left this evening. Most of us are done. And then after that, rain's not a story. It's just hot. Here comes summertime, and in a big way. So let's get you set for it. I've got the Facebook questions and comments. If you have anything that you want to know, be sure to just post it over there. I'll take a peek at the end, and we'll get to it. So let's just jump right in. First off, the number one thing is it's about to get hot. So we have first warns Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, this is not record-breaking, but this is our first truly hot weather of the season. So each of those days, we're going to have 90s. We have not yet have 90s, so we've been to 88. But we're going to get to the 90s, and the 90s come at the same time that humidity is going to surge up. And that's going to make it feel like 100 plus, far hotter than anything that we felt so far this year. And if you've got plans outside this weekend, like I do, I'm going to be outside with my family. We're not going to want to be out there with my kids whenever it's, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and it feels like 100 outside. It's just too hot for my babies. So I bet a lot of us are going to want to navigate around that. So if you're going to be out doing yard work, whatever, you've got your runs, you want to do that kind of stuff in the morning or of an evening, something like that, because it's just not going to be enjoyable. It will be impactful heat. So this is what's going on. The jet stream is actually what separates cool air from warm air. And right now we're kind of on the line. Today we got to 80, mainly because of the showers and the clouds, but not horrible heat for us yet. But whenever we see this kind of setup, which is where we get a big hump in the jet stream on top of us and high pressure settles in the mid part of the atmosphere, that means a heat wave. And it's not just us. There's going to be a lot of people that get extra hot moving ahead into the weekend. In fact, an extreme heat watch is in effect to our north, where it's actually going to feel hotter in portions of Nebraska and Iowa, where they could have a heat index to 110. We won't get that, but there's going to be a lot of people that are going to feel this heat. So let me show you the humidity. Tomorrow actually drops a little bit. Not too humid for us on Thursday, but Friday, here it comes. It's miserable, and it stays near that level into the weekend and even early next week. So humidity jumps up. If you care about dew points, most people don't. But we get into the 70s, and that's where it really gets thick. Dew points in the 70s, how much moisture's in the air. And that's what we'll have as we start on Friday. All right, so what's that do? Well, let's color in the details. 91 is the high temperature on Friday. That feels like 102 on the heat index. Saturday's even a bit hotter. 92 feels like 103. And then Sunday, 91 feels like 99. Every single one of those days is going to be nasty heat. In fact, there is something that the National Weather Service is issuing this summer. They actually began it last summer. But it's the heat risk. And it tracks, what on a scale out of 4 is the risk that this is going to be problematic heat. Well, this one's a level 3 out of 4 heat risk. So that's major. And what that means is this like, it's Kansas City. We get hot, we get humid, we get heat index in the triple digits often. But this being the first of the season, our bodies are not yet acclimated to it. So that's one thing to consider. Another thing to consider is that it doesn't matter who you are. This will be hot enough that if you're going to be out doing anything strenuous, it could cause heat-related illness. And for those of us that don't have ways to get away from the heat, we don't have air conditioning. We ran a story about an apartment complex that has been fighting to get their air conditioning fixed for a while. They still don't have it, so they're going to be without air. There are a lot of people that this will have big impacts on. So mainly because this is it's the first of the season. We're not used to it. That's why it's a level 3. If this were later on in the season, it'd probably be a level 2. Just so you know. So there's another look at our Midwest heating, cooling, and plumbing weather cam. Pretty sky, nice texture to it. Temperatures are all over the place. If you saw rain, then you're in the 70s. If you didn't see rain, then you could even be as warm as the upper 80s. Garnett earlier was at like 88 degrees, so pushing near 90. Let's show you what's happening on the radar. There is a little spotty action over here on the south side of the metro. Let's zoom in on that. So there's one over there by Clinton. That one's fading out. And there's Belton. Belton's got a little shower. Loch Lloyd, Olathe, a little downpour. These are micro little downpours. Another little bitty thing that just went along 435. So southwest side of OP might get a little bit there. So you've got some of these that are riding right along 435, it looks like. So just keep in mind, you might get a quick little downpour for your evening plans. They won't last long. Most of these are done. There's Baldwin City. Also have some more up here by Leavenworth and Parkville. Falling apart. They're pretty weak, but they're there. Liberty, you've got a little shower. And then up here in St. Joe. So these are little micro downpours, but they're on the prowl. And then the most consistent or persistent rain is up here. Bethany, Princeton, Newton, places like that. So there's this little system that's sliding through up north. There's not a lot back behind what's going on now, so odds are most of us are on, we're wrapping up with it. So we've got a little bit out there, but we'll just give it a, 30% chance that you get it in your backyard up until about 9. After that, we're dry. Temperatures in the 70s, dropping to the 60s. In fact, tomorrow morning is the coolest in the forecast. So enjoy one more comfortable morning, maybe 2. Friday morning's not terrible, but we're actually going to start at about 62 at sunrise, which is just before 6 a.m. And then we're going to be in the 60s for the morning, 7 up till about 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that. Then it's 70s, turning to the 80s, 88, the forecast high for tomorrow. Sunshine, not too humid, southwest wind at 5 to 10. Overall, a fairly decent day. 90s in spots. We could tag 90 in Lawrence and Harrisonville, and a number of us are going to be close. Normal's 85, so a little bit above normal. But something to know about tomorrow is that the ozone level is going to be high. We've got high ozone tomorrow, and that drops it down into the unhealthy category for some of us for air quality for Thursday. So if you've got a sensitive respiratory system, you're going to want to avoid, especially the afternoon and the peak heat of the day where that ozone's going to be thickest. Not everybody's going to be affected by it, but some of us will. So just know poor air quality for tomorrow. All right, there we go. Security Bank 7-day forecast, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all the boxes there, because these are the days where heat will be impactful and have a likely chance to affect your plans. You're going to want to, especially over your weekend, first round of significant heat, something that I think we're going to be thinking about and dealing with. Low 90s, and then it stays put. I mean, it doesn't go anywhere. We've got low 90s all the way through. So let's show you Friday. Friday is the summer solstice. Also, on average, we have seen our first 90-degree day by the end of May. So not 9 days ago. That's incorrect. But it's been 18 days, 19 days ago we should have seen that. And the last time we were in the 90s was October 12th. A long time ago. We were getting ready for Halloween. Then Saturday, here's the heat index, what it may be by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 97, 98, something like that. And then over both days this weekend, it looks like it could be kind of gusty. Now, this is going to be like a hair dryer, but maybe a little wind to take the edge off just a bit, but it's just blowing around hot air. And then low rain chances back next week. Don't expect much. I think by the late part of next week, we could see some rain, some meaningful rain come back. But for now, it won't be much, and you'll be lucky if you see anything at all. All right, everybody. So that's the latest that I have for you. We're going to have updates coming up at 10 o'clock and see if this heat is going to adjust, go up. Maybe we can pull it down a little bit. That'd be cool. But I'll have all the updates regardless for you at 10. In the meantime, hope this was helpful for you, and I hope you have a great evening. We'll see you at 10. Take care.